to y'all, but first I have to tell you about this. The president of Chick-fil-A restaurants, Dan Cathy, caused controversy in the past for giving money to anti-gay groups and saying his company supports traditional marriage between a man and a woman. But as he is now expanding here in New York, he says he's had, a bit of a revelation. He says because as time goes by, you become more wise. And so he feels that we should know that Chick-fil-A cares about all people, and he's made a change. He's grown. I have to tell you one thing, because I said I had to confess this, so I want to confess this before we go on. You know, we had a break for 2 weeks, and while I was in L.A., I happened to be driving down the street after work. I went in, I tore that chicken biscuit up. I tore it up. And I've been boycotting for 2 years, but I have to tell you, there's nothing better than a damn Chick-fil-A.
But in other words, his views, whatever they were, did not affect your appetite or how you thought about it.
For 2 years, but I know.
Do you think the boycott, though, do you think that people protesting made a difference in, his financials that made him go, ooh, I should maybe change my... He didn't change his views. He didn't. That answer that he said, people become wise, they asked him about the fact of mixing your personal opinion with the corporate. And he said, as we get older, we get wiser. And he said, after that, I'm going to leave that to the politicians. I think people, what you realize is when you're attached to a brand, giving your personal opinion, people attach it to that brand. And I think maybe...
Good for him. He did it. He feels better about it. We feel better about it. You can go there and not feel guilty.
I went out good. But I just, I felt terrible because I thought I should be stronger than this, but I wasn't.
Despite all the boycotts and all that public attention, which a lot of people who hadn't heard of Chick-fil-A all of a sudden did hear about Chick-fil-A. So publicity is publicity, good or bad. Let's remember that. They've surpassed KFC in terms of, they are doing huge business now. Would you say they've surpassed KFC because I know they're trying to now they're trying to get into markets that they have not been in because they were mainly down south. But now they're trying to expand. What they're also doing is not just a moral change, they're also removing high fructose corn syrup. They're going to sell antibiotic-free.
They've been, the only place you could get Chick-fil-A is here in New York at NYU.
Oh,
they have a Chick-fil-A in NYU. Now it's going to be on the street. We know where she is. I love it. Well, how about this? Because, Sherry, you were telling us, we're still going there, you were telling us that you attended the wedding of Real House.